Okay, so this is 5.1 part C. Be the last part. I'll cover everything left in the lesson here. This really, it's the same thing, guys. You can still just plug this into Desmos and get the factors. You can do that. But let me show you what this looks like as we go. First of all, if I have this a plus b and I square it, that means I have these two factors. They're the same. When I multiply that and multiply everything, I'm going to wind up with a particular kind of quadratic. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. When I do this, and these numbers are the same, b and b are the same, both of them are x up front of whatever, like 2x and 2x. But the b, so plus 5 minus 5, all that does is cancel out the middle number. So that's what this looks like, canceling out the middle number. I can look at that because 81 is a perfect square, and I'd have x minus 9. 9 is the square root of 81, and x plus 9, that's its factors. Now you can do that in Desmos. It's going to give them to you again. Okay? Same thing here. You can factor this in Desmos. You're more than welcome to do that. So this is the second example on the page that says, let me pull it out. Where is it? Factor this, right? 36x squared plus 120x plus 100. That's this graph. You notice it touches one time. It doesn't cross. So it has the same x plus, because this is negative. If I looked at that, I'd say that x is equal to negative 1.667, which is x is a negative 1 2/3. Convert that to a true fraction. X is a negative 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5 over 3, 5/3. So that's this location. When I move that over, it's going to become positive, and I wind up with x plus 5/3. Or I can multiply this to get rid of it and get 3x equals negative 5. Move that over and get 3x plus 5 as my factor. What happens here is that's a square. So this fits the criteria here. How do I know? This is a perfect square in the front. This is a perfect square in the end. Just like this one now. This and this are going to go together. Look at this graph of x plus 3 squared. And its vertex point is right there on that x-axis. And it is at negative 3. That's the factors for that 0 for the quadratic that would look like x squared plus 6x plus 9. All right, looking at this one. 48 squared minus 147. It says factor this. Okay, put that in your Desmos calculator. I'm going to get rid of these, and we're going to do it right here. 48 x squared, and we're going minus 147. Minus 147. Okay, so it's graphed on here. It's going to be a weird looking graph. You're going to find it. Oh my goodness, there it is. Where's it crossing at? It's crossing at the same location each side of the 0 mark at 1.75. Well, that's 1 3/4. So if x equals negative 1.75 and x equals 1.75, I want to change that to a fraction. Now, guys, you can do that on a calculator, any calculator, on your computer, or just a little handheld calculator. If you don't know how to change 1.75 to a fraction, this one is negative. That becomes 1 3/4. There's 4/4 in 1, so this is 7/4, and this is 7/4. Multiply both sides by 4. Add that 7 over to get this factor where it equals 0. Here we go. Multiply by 4 with 4x. Take that 7 away. So that follows this second special example right here. All right. So why do we factor quadratics? To solve for x. What are our x values? That's these points that we're crossing this x-axis, our x values. So those are our intercepts, or what we call our roots. That's another word for them. So when I'm solving this, I'm looking at what do I have the roots of. Now, I hate to just keep harping on this, but you're really, in your class, this is an allowed calculator. And I don't know why there's any... Sorry, that's x squared. I started to put negative. So that's x squared minus 9x plus 18. Okay? So where are the zeros at here? Close enough that we can see them. This 0 is at 6, and this one is at 3. Oh, that's pretty good. So x equals 3 and x equals 6. Moving that to the other side to get x minus 3. Move that to the other side to get x minus 6. And those are the two factors. I'm solving that equation. I solved for the zeros and I solved for the factors. The last few problems in this lesson. Why don't you pause this video, try these last couple of problems. You will find their zeros, you want to find their factors, and then come back and check your work. And then you can attempt your quiz and use your notes to do that, guys. Sorry, before I told you to pause, I missed explaining this to you. You can't do this where it's equal to another number. It's got to be equal to 0. So I just simply can move this over there by subtracting it, and that's going to put me at 0. So I said 6x squared plus x minus 15 is equal to 0. And that's going to allow me to graph this. And you can find, sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. So this point is at 1.5, which is 3/2, and negative 2/3, 1 2/3. So x equals negative 1 2/3, and x equals, what was this other one I told you? 1.5, which is 3/2. This fraction is 5/3 negative, and this fraction at x 3/2. Multiply by 3 on both sides here, get 3x equals negative 5. Add the 5 over, you wind up with 3x plus 5. That's your first factor. This, 2 times x, 2x equals 3. Subtract 3 from both sides, you wind up with 2x minus 3. That's your second factor. Okay, try this one. It is set equal to 0. Okay, I'm going to tell you that there's a trick here before you get started. 10 and 25, they have something in common. They have a 5 in common. So if you divide that by 5, you get 2x squared Divide that by 5, you get 5 minus 5x. This is a multiple, so it's not part of your zeros. It is 5 times whatever your two factors are. So graph just this, 2x squared minus 5x. So just quickly, here's the answer to that last problem. Remember that I factored out this 5 and got 2x squared minus 5x. That's what I graphed. I come up with 0, 0, and 2.50. So 2.50 is 5 over 2. 2 going to 5, 2 full times and a half again. When I rearrange that, I wind up with 2x minus 5 as this factor. Well, when x equals 0, that's just x. So you have 5 times this, okay? 5 times this. So these are your two factors, and this is the multiplier out here. Sometimes it's going to look like that. You just have to be careful when you're picking answers. If you have something that reduced down, then you've got to do that. I mean, if I had graphed this 10x squared minus 25x, it would have looked a little different, but look where those zeros are. They're in the same spot. So the red graph, the second graph, the red graph, this one right here, is without factoring. It's going to give you the same zeros. But you can't write just these two factors because that only gives you this. It won't give you back that full quadratic because you've left this factor off in front. Okay, guys, good luck. If you need any help, send me emails, let me know.